Hey, what's up guys? John here. Over $1.1 billion in property damage throughout Paris with these riots. 45,000 officers on the ground, one already dead. We're seeing a lot of really big things happening in Paris. But we've seen a lot of big things happen in America. The last couple of years, we've seen a lot of riots and protests, and we've seen a lot of damage. And, they've said the same things in America that they're saying now in Paris, that the number one reason that we're stepping into these issues nowadays is because of inequality. Inequality and racism, these are the problems that the world is now suffering through. This is what they're saying. But I have to ask myself, okay, well, that's what they're saying the problem is. What is the proposed solution? No one's talking about the proposed solution. Well, I'm going to tell you what their solution is in this video. I'm going to show you live footage of what's going on in Paris, and it's going to change the way in which you think about business, real estate, and investing. Please hit that like button. When you hit the like button, YouTube's going to share this content to educate more people about what's actually happening in the economy. If you'd like to fix your credit, we'd love to help you at greatcreditfast.com. That's greatcreditfast.com. Take a look at this. This is shocking. So imagine you're a business owner. You're losing high season. This is when all the tourists come. June, July, August. Who's bringing a family there? Would you bring your young daughter or young son to Paris right now? Probably not. Would you go propose in Paris right now? Probably not. A lot of money is being pulled out of Paris, and a lot of money is being taken away from these business owners. Look at this. So French insurance lobby so far says 305 million, right? This is yesterday, July 4th, 305 million. Well, July 4th, French riots have cost 1.1 billion in damage to businesses and travelers, and are even canceling their vacation plans. Look at how they write this and look at what this actually means. The violence has underscored long-running tensions over racism and inequality in the country, especially in ethnically mixed neighborhoods around the cities and towns. The opposition at both ends of the political spectrum has seized on the crisis of evidence the government is failing to ensure public safety and narrow economic disparity. That's what they're saying. Now, this is not a political channel. I don't go this way, I don't go this way. We're talking finance, money, and business. And we're looking at this, we're like, okay, well, they're saying that, they're saying that the government failed, or they're saying that it's because of inequality. And how does this actually play out, right? How does this actually play out? Let's talk to Larry, because Larry seems to always know how things are going to play out, right? Larry said that $4 trillion so far, $4 trillion have been invested in sustainable investments, and these actions and ambitions towards decarbonization have also increased. This is just the beginning of a tectonic shift towards sustainable investing is accelerating. Whether it is capital being deployed into new ventures or focused on energy innovations, our capital transforming the traditional indexes and more customized portfolios and products, we'll see more money in motion, right? But they say sustainable. Sustainable is a part of the buzzwords. Now, let's look at what they're saying next. Is the next 1,000 unicorns won't be search engines or social media companies. They will be sustainable, scalable innovators. Startups that will help the world decarbonize and make energy transitions affordable for all consumers. Now, when you think about the inequality, and you think about sustainable, and then you think about making things affordable, that's all starting to merge together. They want to make the world sustainable, just, fair, equal. That's what they say, right? That's what they say. Now let's look at what they do. So an architect created this brilliant vision of Paris in 2050. This came out 8 years ago. 8 years ago, and they paint this beautiful picture as if it's just lush green landscaping, fresh air. I mean, it looks like something out of a commercial, right? That's what or more like the Jetsons. But Climate Energy Plan of Paris, this aptly named Smart City aims to significantly reduce greenhouse gas emissions, right? The same timeline, 8 years ago. But this is only just starting to get attention the last couple of years. But let's look at this. Bloomberg, he is the board of directors, right? He's the board of directors, and you start to connect the dots here, because Paris is here, a lot of cities all over the world are here. But when you look at their solution, how this actually unfolds, it's pretty unbelievable. So let's first look at the funders or partners, so we can kind of get an idea if this is real, or if it's just Mike and a couple of his buddies. You got UK government, you have Federal Ministry of Environment, Nature, Conservation, and Nuclear Safety, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Denmark, right? So far pretty good for them. IKEA, they have Hewlett Foundation, L'Oreal, Oak Foundation. You got George here. You got FedEx. I mean, you got some big names here. They might have something here. I mean, they have a lot of authority, power, and people behind them. You have Hillary here, you have World Bank. So we're looking at this. it's a concern, right? It's definitely a concern. But let's actually look at cities. So we'll go to cities, we'll look at Paris. So when you look at Paris, you click on it, you click View City Profile, you can go to Accelerators right here. You can click on, let's look at Building Accelerator. Because when you're looking at a place like Paris, a very old city, beautiful architecture, historic, well, how do you bring emissions out of those buildings, right? Well, I'm going to get into that because it's shocking. We pledge to enact regulations and/or planning policy to ensure new buildings operate at net zero in the next 6.5 years. The next 6.5 years, that's like tomorrow. Now look at this. Our buildings, right, energy and buildings, they want to increase density in cities at large levels. And when they do this, if they're able to bring down energy costs through this energy transition, like they're saying, increase housing stock, it's going to reduce the cost of living, right? It's going to reduce the cost of living. But if they're doing that at the same exact time where they're pushing additional cost on landlords to do these property upgrades, how are landlords going to be able to assume less rent, pay more in debt for mortgage costs? I mean, mortgage rates have skyrocketed recently, but pay more in mortgage rates, receive less income, and take on more expense on their buildings. It's going to be a challenge for a lot of landlords, but look at what they're saying. The need for buildings and infrastructure will only intensify. By 2025, we'll need to build 1 billion new homes. About 60% of buildings that will exist by 2050 haven't yet been built. This means that constructing a city the size of Stockholm or Milan every week until 2050, or a city the size of Singapore or New York every month. Every month. So, yeah, I mean, this is going to happen. But look at this. So, this article, it says, France targets energy waste forcing rental homes to cut heat loss. Now, here they say that tenants will be able to legally force landlords to make alterations if their homes are G-rated ahead of the law, which will come into effect, which already did, January 2023. Imagine that. Your tenant's forcing you legally to do that. Now, you might say, John, that's just in France. It's only going to happen in France. Hold on a second before you jump to that conclusion. Landlords will be able to tap into the financial aids issued by central governments, some 3.2 billion euros, to help with the cost of expensive repairs and updates and to avoid a sudden drop in the volume of available housing and consequent spike in rental prices due to the rise in demand once the law kicks in. Okay, so we start to see some of these trends here, right? France bans short-haul domestic flights. But look at this. The coming battle between Americans who want to go electric and their landlords. This came out a month ago. Right? You scroll down here, and it says, if the landlord's problem isn't solved, millions of less wealthy Americans could be left out of the green transition and will be stuck with higher energy bills. Right? That's not good for inequality. Right? So they're going to start pushing forward on this right here. You just type it in. Fact check. Biden-Harris administration launches new building codes initiatives will boost resilience to the impact of climate, right? Lower energy bills in home and business. Now let's look at this here. This is CNBC. CNBC, they came out. It says Ithaca, New York becomes the first U.S. city to begin 100% decarbonization of buildings and urban climate milestone. Now they say that many cities are going to start to follow Ithaca. Many cities. Now let's scroll down here. And it says local governments are best positioned to lead on buildings. Local governments are in a good place to tackle the building issue because many existing policy structures given them the majority of the oversight regulation buildings. A big reason why cities have really emerged as leaders on decarbonization, particularly with buildings, is traditionally land use and development has been more in the realm of state and local governments. They set the building codes and they have the levers, says Elizabeth, Senior Policy Counsel of the U.S. Green Building Council. The cities are feeling local impacts from climate too, and it's becoming more tangible and motivating. They are feeling the impacts knowing that they have those levers to use. Now, look at this. It says, construction of net zero buildings will be normal over the next decade, but existing buildings will be much harder challenge and very fragmented as markets with different cost burdens than starting from scratch. In a country like the U.S., all of the existing building stock will require deep renovations. What does this mean? Well, I wanted to learn more about what this means because I think it's going to be a really, really big change. And I think that when they talk about inequality and sustainability and clean energy, it's all leading to a complete restructuring of the US economy. So I was looking around because a lot of people say, hey, John, I'm in Texas, I'm in Miami, it's not happening here. So I went on miamidade.gov and I started looking into this. I'm like, well, it actually is happening here. And I found a company called Solar Energy Loan Fund, SELF. And so I called this company and I'm like, I want to speak with somebody. I want to get them on my podcast. I want to talk about what this actually is going to look like for property owners and business owners. And so they didn't call me back. I called again and I got somebody here. They came into the office. I asked them the entire business model. I'm like, how are you getting funding? Where are you getting your funding? What does this actually mean for property owners? And so what they are doing is they're getting loans from the federal government between 0 and 1% interest. So basically free money. They're lending it out to the general public between 5 and 6% interest. And they're, quote unquote, helping people do this other energy upgrade. So I'm like, okay, well, it's a lot deeper than that. I'll break down the podcast and I'll share it on Friday on this channel, but it's crazy. It's crazy that a lot of people simply are not aware of what's going to happen in the next couple of years. Some people think, oh, that's fear. It's fear. I think smart people do one thing. They remove emotion from finance and see things clearly for what is actually happening. And if you see things clearly, you're able to make smart and informed decisions. And when you make smart and informed decisions based on logic and reason and fact, your investments are going to pan out a lot better than other people that want to ignore true fundamentals, which is going to happen right now. We're going to walk into this. It's going to be unbelievable. Next couple of years is going to be absolutely unbelievable. We're going to see fortunes made from smart and savvy investors, like absolute fortunes. And we're going to see fortunes lost from people that thought that they were, paper millionaires when everything starts to really hit the fan. But what do you think about this situation? Where do you see this all going? Drop your comments below, hit the like button, subscribe here, and add me on IG for short form content you won't get anywhere else. And be sure to subscribe. Be sure to subscribe if you want tomorrow's information today. And if you want to check out the podcast I'm going to drop on Friday with Solar Energy Loan Fund. Catch you guys in the next video.